What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's like this and Chignra back again for some more Oort online. So today's episode is probably going to be quite short because there's not really much for me to actually talk about or do. I'm kind of in a little bit of a rush today, but I wanted to show off that I ended up making my castle, and I know that's a little bit like, you know, putting my name up there. You can't really make it out because it's a little bit all blurry and stuff like that, but it actually says SCYTHE up there, and I thought maybe I shouldn't have put that up there because maybe it kind of makes it feel like it's like I'm bragging about it or anything like that. I'm not bragging about it at all. Like, the castle is not nearly as impressive as it could be, but considering the amount of time that it took, I'm fairly satisfied with it, and I kind of think of that as more as a signature rather than bragging about it, you know? So we are over here in Rux, and it is absolutely beautiful. I think that really does fit the place up there. It fits the bill. And I'm going to show you now. Ooh, whoops, wrong menu. I'm going to show you all what it looks like up close. Respawn at home. Yes, please. Ooh. Okay, so it spawned us up top. I didn't really want to go up here just yet. I want to kind of go from the entrance here. Let's see if we can. Oh, and by the way, I found out when you're grappling, you just hit the shift and you can actually lower yourself from your grappling hook. And from what I can tell, the grappling hook may or may not be infinite right now. So it actually just begs the question, well, it says it even more that I am an awesome grappling hook. I really do hope that this is what the grappling hook stays like throughout the entire game, because it's absolutely awesome. Now, here is our house. I ended up building a little bit of this, just this right here. Otherwise, the rest of it, I thought about making it go all the way down and making my own road so you can actually climb all the way up, but a little bit tedious. Another option that I'm thinking about, not sure if I want to do it, but I kind of want to make it so that this staircase right here will dig right into the ground and just go all the way down to the bottom. But we may end up saving that for another build. Maybe on a different mountain or something, like maybe that one instead could be a staircase all the way down. The problem is that the staircase would end up coming out further than the mountain actually is. So maybe I'd have to make it zigzag or something like that. It would be extremely tedious because terraforming is, well, it takes a long time to terraform. Before we get to the castle, my point is that I always thought that it'd be so cool. You know, you don't see it very often in games. Even in Skyrim with the Throat of the World main mountain, it's like, oh, there's 7,000 steps or whatever the number was. And it's like, oh man, that sounds so cool in my mind because I'm thinking that it's just one staircase all the way up. No, it's a zigzag all the way up. I want it to be a staircase straight up like those Tibetan monk temples and stuff like that you see out there on the internet and stuff. Like the one in Ace Ventura. Why isn't there stuff like that in games? You know, where it's like a staircase from there all the way up to here. Anyway, here is our castle. Bum, 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 bum. Bloop. I'm taking screenshots of it, even though up close it's not nearly as impressive as it should be. So what I ended up doing with this place, as you can kind of plainly tell, I started with this was our base level. That's why it is actually a different block. And I'd thought about removing that and putting in like the same solid brick with green in it. I don't know. I thought about, but it honestly would have taken way too long to actually change all of that. Over there, we actually got a tower, so I'm going to try and see if I can get a good angle at this. A tower right there, which I thought was really cool, because that actually connects from the castle and then goes down into down there. So it's kind of like it's its own spot, you know, and it's pretty neat if I do say so myself. Of course, there isn't that much, like it's not too flashy on the inside. It's very barren, very empty, but it works, you know, like I kind of messed around with, I've seen these designs, I've said this before, but I've seen these designs in other people's castles, or, well, houses, not castles. They usually have the lighter wood on the top of it though, but I couldn't because some of this is actually connecting flooring to the next floor and stuff like that. But I mean, overall, like, that looks okay. I'm satisfied with it. It's not fancy, and there's definitely like no cool furniture or anything like that, but that's because the game doesn't really have it. Now, first I will show off that this is kind of a bridging arm that goes out and then it comes back down there. I guess so you could potentially, like, maybe a road will eventually start over there and go to that guy's tower over there. I left the guy's eye, his Sauron eye thingamabob, because I didn't want to break it. And, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, this place is a little bit confusing as far as the architecture goes. This goes up to a tower, which goes to the second floor. This goes up to a corner, which also goes up to another floor. This main spire, which we will probably do last, goes up to the King's Chamber, I guess you could call it. This is all, the second floor is right on top here. And this is that corner tower that we were looking at. Now, I had experimented with putting, like, the spiked pillars, I guess you could call it. I'm not exactly sure. That you normally traditionally see on a castle, but it was kind of taking away from the view of actually being up here. So I kind of used my own, like, school of thought where it's like I got rid of it on all the lower floors, but the top ones actually have, like, the proper spire and stuff like that. And I made sure to make it so that each of these tunnels or towers or whatever is very accessible, where if you fall, you're probably not going to get hurt because I have these between each level, while it also is opened up so that you can kind of see where you're going. Oh my goodness, he's getting caught on everything. Oh jeez, they're still trying to fix all of that. They've actually been having quite a few, wow, my goodness. They've actually been having constant updates since this game came onto Steam. Nothing as far as gameplay or anything, just fixing bugs and stuff like that. But it is nice to see that they are actually working on it continuously, because, you know, like I already said in my first look about this game, like, it's kind of worrisome nowadays with first looks and stuff like that. Like, you never know what your money's getting. So I'm still satisfied enough with this game just being what it is right now, and I've actually had a lot of fun with it and clocked in quite a few hours with it. But I still do hope that it eventually does turn into what they promised, so that would be really cool. But see what I mean with the spikes on these other spots of the castle? Yeah, so this is kind of just another overlook. Then we go over here, and here is kind of like the wall on the outside. We will get into that. Is actually the tallest part of the castle. This one just kind of loop-de-loops back around to the other wall here. And then this one actually loop-de-loops back around into another room. Now, like, this is what I mean, like, this place is really confusing architecturally, because when I'm making builds like this, like, I just built the bottom floor, and then I start building by room. Like, it's not like I have anything set in my mind where it's like, ooh, hey, you know what? This is what we're going to do, and here's the end game. No, no, no. I just kind of go by my gut, you know? It's like, I started on this corner, and it just kind of turned out the way that it did. That's kind of my way of building, like, period. So, if we go over here, this is actually going to take us back to the main center pillar, leads us to all of those other second floors and stuff like that. So it's a little bit weird and tedious to get to all of these other floors, but it still works out. Like, here's, like, I guess the third floor, but there is also a second and a half floor and stuff like that. Like, that's what I mean by it being a little bit confusing. But if we go up here, this is kind of like the King's Chamber. You can kind of tell just because of the carpet and stuff like that, right? And I made it so that this balcony is the most impressive, so it's kind of like, I don't know, you would be talking to citizens is kind of what I figured, but I don't know what citizens you would talk to because we're on the edge of a beautiful mountain. Then there's a tippy top up there and one more floor up here, I think. Let's take a peek. Yes, there is another floor right here. Okay, cool. Get out! Get out of there! Jeez, he's getting caught on all those staircases and stuff. They're supposed to be fixing all of that stuff pretty often, but for the most part, I mean, it's just like, you know, I could just be lagging right now too because it's all server-based and everything. But anyway, this is that light tower that we went into near the beginning, and now there's this tower that's right in the center. This is the big tall one that I was talking about, and if you just go all the way up this one, as you can see, this took me a very long time to build this place, considering that the payoff is kind of like, yeah, it's alright. And then here's the tippy toppy. Here's the tip top. And making that in the sky was actually pretty tedious because I had to go and do it all in the sky, and, you know, you can't really fly around, like, there's no proper creative. But I ended up using the bounce blocks to outline it, and then I used red leaves for the background. I had it before without the red leaves, and it was actually really hard to see the light and stuff like that because you could actually see right to the sky behind it. There was no real definition to it, but as soon as I added like that background blocks there, it actually added a nice touch to it, especially in the distance. I mean, you can't really see it in the video just because video quality and stuff like that. video degradation because of YouTube. Not to mention, oh, well, now you can kind of see it. But not to mention also that I, like I've said plenty of times before, like I have to play this game in windowed mode because of how often it crashes and stuff like that. I'm actually surprised it hasn't crashed since we started this series, because normally it just crashes all the time. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. That is, I guess, Scythe Castle. So I haven't had that much time to actually go on this game anymore since I made that castle, so it might be a little bit like you might have to wait a little bit before we end up getting another episode, but we'll see what ends up happening. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smack that like button, share, favorite, and subscribe to join Team Pixel. Sign on, stay epic, ladies and gentlemen.
Believe in yourself.